So I want to talk about sex magic today. And it's hard to talk about for me, honestly. It's getting easier because I have a lot of trauma around it, and I'll touch on that. And I also want to touch on love spells because it's it's hard to talk about for a lot of people, I think, whether or not you have this kind of abuse or, you've been taken advantage of like that. But for a lot of people, there's a lot of shame and fear tied up in it, and it can be scary because it's like a direct hit. It's like a direct tap, to what they say source is, or infinite intelligence, or God, goddess. And it can be fast and intense, and there's a lot of shame, honestly, like I said, comes out around it. I've got Three of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles that all just fell out now, and King of Cups. And, hold on. It's like 100% completely natural function of the human body, and it's really good for the body. You know what I mean? It's really good to give yourself that pleasure with innocence. It kind of sets everything in place with the body, and emotionally too. If you have this kind of, abuse around this essay, and this could even be like infidelity, cheating, or corn addiction. I have to say corn because I might get flagged. But I always imagine somebody is like an actual corn addict, like eating so much corn. But anyways, sorry to laugh. I'm making light of something that, I've personally experienced a lot of this stuff. And you may have trouble like accepting this kind of like lubrication, like what I said. No, I mean, pun intended, I guess, because it creates a portal in which when the abuse is happening, it creates confusion. It creates a portal of vulnerability where all your inhibitions are down, and you dissociate, and your pleasure centers are hijacked. So it's like someone kind of comes in, and takes control of you. And that's very scary. So this is going to block like a lot of fluidity, which it can. It can block a lot of fluidity. I know it has in my life. And, just access to that creative state, that's why they call it a flow state. All your chakras, all your body is affected by this kind of abuse. But for me, I think it's primarily the root and sacral chakras. So the bottom ones, your source of expression and safety and autonomy. It erodes a sense of self-trust. And it's important to reinstate your innocence and your sexual being. It's personally for me, like it's happened to me in various ways. I used to feel like a weapon. It used to feel really scary to express myself sexually because sex magic is in all assets of life. That is kind of the base of creativity, if that makes sense. And so, it's hard to wield that kind of power. And, I think you're scared, this collective might be scared to fully embody it because it is powerful. I mean, you are powerful. Someone projects into you their wrongful intention, their antagonism, and it makes them feel safe. It's like a swap. It's like they feel safe by lying to themselves, and you totally lose your sense of autonomy. It's really like a spell. So I want to validate those feelings. Source is telling me to validate the feelings of feeling like there is an evil, because I know like a lot of, if you're in these sort of spiritual circles, they're going to say, you're going to come across videos or works that say that there's take a non-dual approach, like there is no good and evil. And that is technically true, but also when you've had this kind of trauma in your life, you can't really bypass it. Like it will just keep coming up. And when people say that people say that there is no good and evil, sometimes they're relying on that moral ambiguity to kind of justify their harmful intentions. And you can't really bypass it because you have to make sense of your story, if that makes sense. Like, you can't fully lobotomize yourself. It's in there. It's in the body. It's in the neurons, the memories, the etheric body, the emotional body. It's in your physical body. You know, literally, stress is a killer. And when people say it's all you, because I say that a lot on this platform, it's all you. All I mean is that it's your awareness. It's your consciousness. It doesn't mean that you're a violent aggressor because you've perceived someone being violent to you. That is part of the spell. It's just that we're having a human experience, and there is apparent, pragmatic limitations and perceptions and personalities. And sometimes we're not all tabula rasas when we're born, right? We're not all blank slates. When we are kind of given the genetic code of an aggressor, it kind of, unfortunately orient yourself at that baseline to be sort of a taker. People say energy vampires. And it doesn't mean you carry the same qualities. You can be aware of it and not identify with it. The aggressor will rely on the victim to identify with it, to transmute all their pain. I almost said his, but it really could be any gender or whatever. There's a sliding scale. And there are also endless variations of like givers and takers, 2 of Wands coming out. So this is where you can take a broader perspective as you tell yourself, you rewrite your story and make coherent sense of it, and use magic, use the sex power as magic again. You can understand that there are endless variations of givers and takers. Like a serial killer has got to go to the grocery store and make nice with the cashier, right? So he has a good day sometimes. And you can just take a gentle approach to that wisdom. That's taking the same wisdom that you used like against yourself and turning it around the other way and releasing a lot. What wound up happening in your life, in your story, to your body doesn't mean that you're bad, but it does mean that you are powerful. And that that in and of itself is scary, separate from the abuse. Like, it all connects, but that makes you powerful. I don't want to say gift because I don't want to make light of any pain that you might be feeling, which is obviously painful for me to even think about it. And I don't want to gaslight. I don't want to position myself in a place where I'm also like trying to spiritually bypass your pain for you. But let me just bring it around to love spells, because this is what I have worked with in this sort of transmutation of pain, this big pain, is I've been diving into love spells. And it's because you deserve, I think it's great to do work like this, magic like this, sex magic, because you deserve to have this juicy, pleasurable experience with no shame. And all of the pleasure and ecstasy and, total relaxation and feeling at one, all of that will bleed from sex. All of that will bleed into other parts of your life. All of the other parts of your life, all of the states of your existence. Hangman. It will turn things upside down, and it will bathe your nervous system from head to toe in, sweetness and at homeness. Like, you give yourself a safe place to land, because the power is in your mind. You can use it to get anything. You can use, you hear people say you can use sex magic to get anything, you can. That's true. That's true. In a human experience, yeah, absolutely you can. The power is in your mind. It's your mind as a directive force of your emotional body. We got Queen of Cups. Exactly. Think about how shame feels in your body, right? It hurts. And think about how love feels. Love as in all those